And here we are in the music hall.
It's really dark in here, Marilee.
Well, welcome, X. Four from X, which is the actual configuration, are here with us. Let me give a little background on X. Like anyone from LA doesn't know all this, but you never know. X got together in LA at kind of the punk end of the 70s, put out, was it 4 albums total as X, including this new one?
10.
9.
What?
Yeah.
Where was I?
don't
See, I
know.
was back in Boston.
Guess so.
A couple of pit stops along the way, solo albums, side projects, The Knitters, acting roles for John Doe, some spoken word from Maxine Cervenka. And about 5 years ago, X reunited, and they're with us now in the music hall in that incarnation, which would be John Doe and Maxine Cervenka, the main core of X, singers, songwriters. The rest of X is with us as well, drummer DJ Bonebreak and guitarist Tony Gilkison. Gilkison, right?
Correct.
Ding, ding, ding. Well, welcome, guys. Unclogged is the new live acoustic album. Lots of X favorites on it, a couple new ones. What do you want to start with today?
We're going to start with a song from the record Unclogged called Because They Do on Infidelity Records. This is an infidelity kind of song. Are you going to turn on any lights in here? It's really dark in here, Meryl.
Okay.
No, it's so dark. See, in Radio Land, it's really dark.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I am a black and white ghost in a black and invisible dress. Oh, what a mess I'm in. What kind of fool am I? I'm the married kind, the kind that said I do. Forever searching for someone new. At night I get drunk and fly around. In the day I dream and lay around. I drink and smoke your brand and drink. I am drunk over you. I am the married kind, the kind that said I do. Forever searching for someone new. You are the ghost of all my dreams, but to you I'm just pretend. I pretend I'm alive but just not dead. I would die for you. I'm the married kind, the kind that said I do. Forever searching for someone new. My nights, they are numbered, and they don't count for nothing. I ain't no fool, I'm just a bride, but I'm just no good inside. I'm the married kind, the kind that said I do. Forever searching for someone new. Someone new. Someone new.
Hey!
X in the music hall with us. You know, it's nice that a band that's been around as long as you have been, you still do the old songs. I, especially listening to the Unclogged album, it was nice that there are some favorites on there. It's not like we don't do those anymore.
Our songs never go out of style. They're classics.
They are indeed. Let me get this one out of the way before we continue. John, you've got a solo album due out. Does that mean X is really back together for good?
X will never die.
Going for the tough question.
Good answer.
Maxine just put out a spoken word record called Surface to Air Serpents, and I'll be putting out this solo record in August.
Excellent.
So, I mean, we put out Jesus in '93, and then this is coming out now. So it's like a constant process. Like something else grabs your attention for a little while, you put your creativity towards that, and back and forth.
Yeah,
Bing,
and
bang, boom.
DJ and Tony also do a lot of work. DJ plays with Lisa Flores, and Tony has his own band. So, we're musicians and artists, and we do it full time.
The spoken word thing, is there, I remember hearing that there's a real big scene out here in LA when I was back east, and I haven't found it yet.
Well, it depends on which part of that scene you're looking for. If you're looking for writers or spoken word artists that are sometimes more like personalities in stand-up comedy, there's all kinds of great writers out here, though. I've been doing it since '76, since I came out here.
So when you approach it, is it more academic or more performance?
Well, it's in between.
It's
I
more
consider myself a kind of a satire journalist or something, rather than a poet.
a visceral satirical journalist.
Satirical, that's the word.
Yes.
A lot of people actually are uncomfortable with the tag poet or poetry.
They should be, because they're not. That's why they call themselves spoken word artists.
A good place to start is Beyond Baroque,
Yeah.
which has been around for a long time. Charles Bukowski worked there some, and Tom Waits and Exene and I worked there.
We actually met there. That's where X really get started, was at Beyond Baroque in Venice, which is in need of your donation, since it's going to go out of business because they've cut off all their NEA money. So they're in Venice, and you can call them up and give them some money.
Well, there you go, all you rhythm writers and mad poet professors out there. So support that as well as your local music scene. John, you alluded to the local scene that you guys were instrumental in starting back in the 70s on the liner notes to Unclogged. Are you without it now? Do you feel at all connected to any kind of LA scene?
Well, we still see the same people. We've gotten to be friends with other bands around the country. It's more nationwide now. I mean, because we're able to tour. Green Apple Quick Step and the Best Kissers toured with us a couple of years ago. I played with the drummer who plays with Beck, Joey Warnaker, and so yeah, there's not the same kind of scene because it's a different time. We have more to do. We don't just hang out and get loaded.
Yeah, I was talking with Peter Case. He was up here a couple of weeks ago, and he basically said the same thing. He's got a kid now. He's not out, throwing beer bottles at bands, but
Well,
stays connected.
on the other hand, we just had a record listening party, and Jeffrey Lee Pierce from the Gun Club was there. Keith Morris from the Circle Jerks was there. Frank was there. We see all these people still, and so that kind of friendship never goes away.
Great. X in the music hall with us. Another song, please.
Certainly.
Flying in the Road?
Flying in the Road.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Bottles of whiskey on my windowsill. Ragged leaves are hanging from the trees. You don't know me by now, maybe you never will. The world is finally dead. I must have rocks in my head for not seeing you the way that you saw me. For not seeing you the way that you saw me. You can never know me the way I know myself. You think the best I ever did, I did for someone else. I'm lying in the road, waiting for a ride. Lying in the road, trying to save my,
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 trying to save my life. Passed out on the party train for years. Cigarette butts sticking out of my ears. There stands a glass that'll hide my fears. The world is finally dead. I must have rocks in my head for not seeing you the way that you saw me. For not seeing you the way that you saw me. You can never know me the way I know myself. You think the best I ever did, I did for someone else. I'm lying in the road, waiting for
That is one of two new songs, technically new songs, right, from the X Unclogged album. Are there more than two new songs in the can anywhere?
Well,
Yes.
demo type songs. Yeah, we have a lot of new songs we're just starting to work on now.
Is that maybe why you did the live album, just to sort of catch up with yourselves, maybe?
I guess we did the live record because we liked playing acoustically when we did McCabe's, and we knew we could afford to do a live record acoustically and put it out ourselves. And we thought we're good at this kind of thing, so let's do it.
One of the really cool things about the live record, and anytime you hear a rock band go acoustic, is the rearrangements. The World's a Mess, It's in My Kiss, completely different. And something that I noticed on I Must Not Think Bad Thoughts, no mention of Meatmen, Flesh Eaters, that whole line about all the American bands. Did you think that just wouldn't fit now, or did you forget the words?
Radio has changed. Well, back then there was like that. Remember that English kind of glittery? What was that called? New Romantic or
New
something?
Romantics, yeah.
Well, there was a time period when they were only playing, like K-Rock was playing a lot of the English bands, Flock of Seagulls, and we were really resentful because, you know, what was happening in the United States. So the Replacements and X and those bands was at least as good, if not 10 times better in our minds. And I feel sad that people never got to hear the Replacements on the radio when they were growing up, like they get to hear Hole or Pearl Jam now. Why couldn't they hear Paul Westerberg? They weren't allowed to, so that whole generation missed out on that great music and X and a lot of other bands. But so that we still have those same feelings towards radio, but I think it's been said, and now we just say it's what is it? The radio is a radio is a radio, you know, whatever.
A rose is a rose is a rose. But they, on the other hand, you know, they did hear the Minutemen, and because Mike Watt has this record out with all these people who he influenced.
Right.
Yeah, well,
And-
but
and
now
so
the
that's
kids
cool.
are 15, they're going to Lollapalooza, but 10 years ago the kids who were 15 had to grow up with God knows what, a journey and all that, so,
That'd be 15 years ago.
yeah.
Well, the other thing about the Replacements is, you know, a lot of people didn't hear them. There were some radio stations, some commercial radio stations that played the Replacements back then. And now I think they'd sound great next to Nirvana and Pearl Jam, and none of these modern rock radio stations play them. So I think it's sort of time for people to rediscover the Replacements and X. And
Yeah.
maybe you
I
guys
agree.
can find a home somewhere.
Well, I don't know. Disposable culture this
We
country
have a
has,
home.
you know.
We all have homes,
Is your home, all of you, still here in L.A.?
Yeah, basically.
more or less.
You've done something that a lot of these young punk bands are doing, which is you got your own indie record label. You have indie cred.
That's true. We've been there. We've been there. We've done that. You know, that's not a thrill. What's a thrill is to make your own decisions and to figure out how you're going to spend the money and how you're going to get the record over to people and communicate with people. Half the time, record companies, instead of making it easier for music to get to people, they make it harder. You know, they don't know it, but it's true. I mean, they put up a wall, and you know, all the different branches of the media, the newspapers and the magazines and stuff like that, they actually kind of make it harder.
Is it hard for you, though, to not only make the artistic decisions, but sometimes you may not want to deal with the business end of it when you're cranky and you're tired and you wish you had somebody else to do
That
it?
never happens to us.
Oh.
No, never ever happens.
Do
Let me-
you
let me
beg to
put it-
differ?
Let me put it this way. We do what needs to be done no matter how overworked or, you know, dishes in the sink for 3 weeks. Go home to go to bed, check to see if the refrigerator's still there and leave.
X hanging out with us in the music hall this afternoon, and would love to hear another song.
What are we going to do?
This is the stage.
Okay. Help me if I forget the words.
2.
Falling down by the wayside, she's afraid to touch anything, afraid it'll turn to stone like everything else has in her life. She can see past the manufacturing dump, she can see through walls, she can persuade the entire lunchroom to walk can stand on it. She can fly knife around the room. She can smash the glass. She can't stand on the stage. She can't stand the stage. She can't stand on the stage. She can't stand the stage. She can set the stage, but she can't stand on it. They must be burn no paint for a fuel at the cement plant today. That's the reason why the sky is all the colors of the rainbow. She says, oh no, not another band. She thinks it's too late to take up the bass and stare into the jaded face of color coordinated Doc Martin shoes, hair, face, skin combination. Commercials make her mad. Commercials make her really mad. Commercials are little funerals for every lost thought. They set the stage too high. She can't stand on it. She can fly a knife around the room. She can smash the glass. She can't stand on the stage. She can't stand the stage. She can't stand on the stage. She can't stand the stage. She can smash the glass, but she can't stand on it.
And that is another one of the new X songs from Unclogged, the new album, The Stage. Is that she on the stage? Has that ever been you or any part
Well,
of you?
it's- you know, there's so many women in bands now, but when I first started out in a band, it was a little bit more unusual. I'm glad there's more women now, certainly. But it's funny. It's like almost a choice in this character and the song. She doesn't know what to do. She doesn't want to just be in a band like everybody else, and that's the dilemma. She's kind of psychic, and she doesn't know if she should go that route or if she should be in a band.
Or
so
be the token
Yeah, she
bass
doesn't want
player?
to be. Yeah, she doesn't want to be a cliche, you know. So she'll make the decision someday. We'll let you know.
Was X your first singing performance?
Yes, X was my first band.
Yeah.
Oh, the paparazzi is killing me in here, Mary Lee.
Was that scary for you in the
Yes.
beginning?
Yes, it was.
Did it take you a long time to get over that?
When will I get over it?
See, because I feel this very comfortable vibe. You've all been together so long.
No, it is comfortable, but you know, even Tony Bennett gets butterflies. I saw it in the Star yesterday when I was reading about, you know, I said that Frank Sinatra helped him with his butterflies.
Yeah, I said, here's a big glass of scotch.
Yeah, and I don't drink anymore, so I'm really stuck with lots and lots of butterflies.
We talked a little bit earlier about the LA scene. You also talked in the liner notes about this 80s thing that was going on at the Whiskey with a lot of like punk country bands. And I think you guys were certainly ahead of the curve. There's bands now that are doing that sound, Bottle Rockets and Wilco and Blue Mountain. And that's the sound now. That's one of the new sounds.
There you go. You don't get paid for being ahead of your time.
No, you know what they say. It's not who does it first, it's who does it second.
Aha.
Last. Well, we've been trying to be about 6 months behind the times for our whole career. It hasn't worked out. Actually, one of the, later on, some of the great bands were Tex and the Horseheads and Blood on the Saddle. And we weren't really, we couldn't even be a part of that. I mean, but they were killer bands. Tex and the Horseheads. Actually, when we play at the House of Blues, we're playing with one of the people who was in that. Mike Mart is in the Sweet and Low Orchestra.
Who was the woman's? Wasn't there a woman singer?
Texacala Jones.
Oh, there you go.
That's right. They would get so tangled up in their chords, they would like almost be falling down. They'd be about as close as we are now, which is about 3 feet, if we could see. That is, it's so dark in here. Yeah, they would get all tangled up in their chords. So Sweet and Low on Thursday night. Tonight is Spanish Kitchen at the House of Blues. Tonight is sold out, but there's tickets tomorrow, I believe.
Now, are you going to be clogged or unclogged?
We're going to be both. We're going to play acoustically first,
Unclogged
and then electric.
and plugged up.
Yeah.
First unclogged, and then we're going to plug up and unclog again. No.
All right. Back in those country punk days, I was reading that you did Johnny Cash covers, and I never knew this about you because I was never like a giant X fan. I always had sort of like a knowledge of the songs of yours that I liked. And I remember thinking it would be so great if you guys did Jackson. That
We did.
You did?
Yeah.
See?
We have
Yeah.
done that.
An
We have done that in
intuitive.
the past.
Yeah.
A real good version of Jackson was Country Dick from
And
the Beat Farmers and Exene.
Oh,
without-
really?
Yes,
was
without
really good.
rehearsing.
Yeah. We got married. Oh, we got. Oh.
Yeah, we
I
did.
couldn't twist your arm to do a couple
We
bars.
haven't
from
done that in at least 10 years.
All right. How about something else older from X that we haven't heard for a while that I was twisting your arm earlier about?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, that would be See How We Are.
See how we are.
You've made my day. X is with us in the music hall.
3-4. There are men lost in jail, crowded 52 room. There's too many rats in this cage of a world, and the women know their place. They sit home and write letters, then they visit once a year, when they both just sit there and stare. See how we are. Gotta keep bars in between us. See how we are. We only sing about it once in every 20 years. See how we are. Oh, see how we are. Now there are 7 kinds of coke, 500 kinds of cigarettes. There's freedom to die in the USA, drives everybody crazy. Down in Oklahoma, well, they don't give a damn about kids selling blankets with no shoes on their feet. See how we are. Why don't you get out of my way, you dirty man? See how we are. We only sing about it once in every 20 years. See how we are, oh, see how we are. This morning, the alarm rang at noon, and I'm trying to write this letter to you about how much I care and why I just can't be there to draw your bath and comb your hair. Last night in a nice bar where things ain't so hot, my friend said I met a boy and I'm in love. I said, oh really? What's this one's name? She said his first name is Homeboy. I said, could his last name be Trouble? See how we are. Homeboy, ain't that a South Central gangster name? See how we are. We only sing about it once in every 20 years. See how we are. Oh, see how we are. See how we are. Now that highway is coming through, subway's coming through. Bottom rung and no fall at all, 'cause now fires and rock
Kelseys, and grape-flavored rat poison beyond the new Trinity.
For this so-called community, see how we are.
Gotta keep bars on all of our windows.
See how we are.
We only sing about it once in every 20 years.
See how we are.
Oh, see how we are. See how we are. See how we are.
X. You will hear that one on the Unclogged album, won't you? See how we
Yeah.
are. And
Unfortunately, it
perhaps-
wasn't as on the record. It wasn't as good as that. I'm sure by the time we finish this tour in the middle of August, we'll be really good, and then we'll think, why did we record the record first and then go on tour?
You can always do Unclogged Part 2.
Yeah, just do the same thing.
Yeah. I don't know how serious you were. Maybe you were being tongue-in-cheek, but I think your songs are very classic. And, 10 or so years later, that song really still stands up and makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think we could do it this long if they weren't. I mean, that would be really horrible. So, we're lucky.
We don't have any songs that are directly about Ronald Reagan or
Right.
George Bush, although
Yeah, isn't there one, like, voting for what's his name?
That's
Brilliant, classic, you didn't
New
date
World.
it.
Well,
Yeah.
it's because the people who are disenfranchised, it couldn't matter. They don't know, they don't care, and what difference does it make who's president?
There you go.
Right.
Words of wisdom from X. Now let's reiterate once again, Unclogged, the new album. House of Blues tonight and tomorrow night. Tonight sold out. Tomorrow, be there, won't you, right?
yeah,
Everybody.
we'll be there.
All right. X, thanks for hanging out with us.
Thank you. Thank you very much.